Amit Malviya joins us on the phone line. Mr. Malviya, we're just breaking the story about how the UK court has rejected Nirav Modi's appeal and now he will be extradited to India. But it's a big win for the government. It is a big win for the investigation agencies. But my question here is very different. How long before we see Nirav Modi or Vijay Mallya or Sanjay Bhandari for that matter to actually end up coming to India? What are the talks with the UK looking like as far as the Indian government is concerned?
First of all those people who have been on the run and sought shelter in foreign lands, their assets have been seized to ensure that their outstanding dues to the banks are paid. Secondly, this is a criminal proceeding against these people. The government of India, under the Prime Ministership of Mr. Modi, has pursued these men who thought that they could get away from the law of the land after frauding Indian banks and, of course, the taxpayers. It is the Prime Minister's commitment to bring those responsible for corruption to account that the agencies have pursued people like Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya and the others. This particular case where he has lost the plea in the UK court and will now be extradited to India and tried under Indian laws is a big win for the country, is a demonstration of the fact that Mr. Modi and his government are committed to ensuring that people who indulge in corruption are not spared. And this is just one of the many cases, high-profile cases, which will be brought to logical conclusion.
You know, India is a friendly foreign power as far as the UK is concerned, Mr. Malviya. So you see this process getting expedited, and is there a timeline that the government has in mind to bring these fugitives back to the country? Because it looks like, you know, fugitive after fugitive, it has been a win for India.
Well, I can't speak for the government of India or the agencies who will actually deal with the process, but I can definitely tell you that politically there is immense will to ensure that these people are brought back at the earliest and they are tried as per Indian laws, because the crime has been committed in India. They have defrauded Indian banks, and therefore it is only appropriate that they face Indian law, and it will be done on priority.
Absolutely. And Mr. Amit Malviya, thank you so much for that reassurance. He speaks about the political will of the Modi government as far as bringing these fugitives back to India is concerned. Jonathan Gilbert is joining us now from London. Jonathan, what happened in court today?
Well, as you heard, this latest attempt to evade extradition has failed and fallen on deaf ears. I think it's very important, though, to cast our mind back to the case of our dear friend Vijay Mallya, whose attempts to evade extradition spanned several years and many millions of pounds in legal fees. I was there throughout that process, and we thought at the time, well, that the game was up, that he would be on an airplane back to Delhi within days. And as far as we're aware, he remains a fugitive from Indian justice and remains a happy resident of the UK. And the reason for this is, we're led to understand, because he's now tapped into the UK's very generous and very robust asylum system. So if he's applied for asylum, it's not entirely impossible that this will be Nirav Modi's next move. I wouldn't necessarily assume that he's going to be clapped in irons and on that jet anytime shortly.
Right. Jonathan, continue to stay with us. Lavina also is joining us. Lavina, what are the key observations that are coming in from the court who rejected Nirav Modi's appeal, making this a big win for India at the moment?
I'm not quite sure if it is a big win in the sense that it ascertains the return of Nirav Modi. That might not be the case. But yes, indeed, it is a win, because this is the final rejection by the court of Nirav Modi's appeal. A lot of people have forgotten that he's still in jail, actually, and he is in Wandsworth jail still, and constantly going appeal after appeal. This goes of course to the Home Office, where they have already signed their extradition. So the thing is that he might as well, he's quite possible to take the asylum route after exhausting all the appeal route. And he has not been acquitted from the jail as well. That's been another observation from the judgment. We, of course, have to take a fine-tooth comb and go through the judgment. It's just come through. But these are the two important takes. He's not, but something that is quite important to say is that it is a win for India, but it is not the return of Nirav Modi. Yet he still has the asylum route, just like Malia took, and the route that they take. And the argument that is constantly pushed is that it is a witch hunt for them and they are not safe in India. So how now that will be dealt with is important. And an asylum route is a confidential one, unlike the extradition route. So where we know everything about the extradition proceedings and appeals, we won't get to know about the asylum route. So that's what is next for Nirav Modi. We don't know whether he'll be returning, but yes, he has exhausted.
So that's a very interesting point that you mentioned. Do we have Manish with us? All right. So Jonathan, what does the UK law of the land say as far as asylum seekers are concerned? Because if Nirav Modi goes ahead and applies for asylum, his extradition perhaps may not be possible.
Yes, well, as Lavina rightly points out, the key difference here between asylum and extradition is, as she says, all the asylum machinery and all the paperwork occurs in complete confidence. So we will not know whether he's applied for asylum, and if he has, at what stage that asylum application is. What we do know is that it often takes a very, very long time. I mean, quite apart from Nirav Modi's situation, the UK is in the grip of a massive immigration and asylum crisis at the moment, with literally tens of thousands of asylum cases from various immigrants who've made their way to the UK legally and illegally.
So Jonathan, there's one point. I've just got some breaking news coming in, and I'm going to read that out and also question you on this, because this is very interesting. So the breaking news that's coming in, Jonathan, is that Nirav Modi extradition will take time. As per the UK court order, Nirav Modi can file an appeal against his extradition before the Supreme Court now. But to file an appeal, he has to take permission from the High Court. But in the past, you do remember, Jonathan, as far as Vijay Mallya is concerned, the High Court refused to file appeal before UK's Supreme Court as well. And hence, that begs the question, will he or will he not come back?
Look, Vijay Mallya, the process lasted years, and as you rightly say, every time his application was thrown out, he just escalated it to the next level of jurisprudence. So he took his appeal to the High Court. That took another 6 months to be heard. That was thrown out. Then he took his appeal to the Supreme Court. And it was only then that he'd finally exhausted all his extradition legal options. Now, if Nirav Modi intends to do the same, and if he's got the money to back it up, then he can tie this up for another few months, if not years, just by escalating that appeal process. And if that finally exhausts itself, then, as we say, then he possibly has the asylum seeker option. So, and that in itself could take an indefinite amount of time.